Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. I'm your host, your most. My name is Gomez, and today I do have a couple of special guests coming on the show. And I'll tell you this, I love what I do because why? We're going to talk about more music, which I'm getting heavily into, but I do have a good one tonight, guys. Please welcome Rick Oliver and John, too, both who are engineers and producers in the music business. Guys, how are you tonight?
Bulletproof.
Doing well.
Well, bulletproof is a great thing. Guys, you guys have done a lot, especially Rick, I mean, as an engineer and producer in the music business. How did you get into it, if you don't mind me asking?
We'll get to John in a second. I
Yep.
stumbled into it. I had I was accepted to MIT and West Point and all kinds of other stuff because I did good in school for some strange reason. And so I got and instead of weird thing, I graduated early from high school. I stumbled into the music business because a friend of mine worked for a company that set up recording studios and said, "This gig is for you." And then I learned from the ground up, assistant engineer, technician, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to get where I am now. And me and John met at a meeting with some friends, and I'll let him take over.
So yeah, he stumbled into it. I stumbled into Rick. So for me, I've always been a musician. I've done various bands for the longest time. I was doing like strictly metal music. Then I was doing kind of like just regular rock. Um, and I was kind of just like figuring out my own thing, trying to reestablish a band and met Rick right next to his house, and then he happened to call me while I was at a Wendy's, and it was like, "Hey, you want to work on some stuff?" And I came up and started just kind of jamming on stuff, writing new stuff. Like he already had. What was your first album called? The first,
Well, Green and Checkers, a long time ago. Are you talking?
yeah, the one that.
What the first one I got platinum for was Black and Blue. I was 19 years old,
Oh,
and there's
wow.
probably some nudge to the date, but I didn't even intend for my life to be as a sound mixer. I was doing music,
Hmm.
but I happen to have a talent at being assistant engineer, tracking engineer, then started mixing, and I worked for Tom Dowd at Atlantic,
Oh, wow.
with Phil Ramone, with I could go on, but it was early in the business. We were just moving 16 track analog to 24 track analog,
Right.
and so I went through all the stuff through locking up machines, 48 track analog, 72 track analog, digital, so I went into I had some electronic training too. So as the consoles got bigger, I would look at the block diagram and other people had gone, is this right patch point? And, it was like, to me, of course it is. That's where you're going to patch a compressor across. So, when preparation meets opportunity, and I didn't even know I was preparing for the opportunity, but I was, luck or providence. I was set up for, I was loaded for bear and I didn't even know it at first.
And that's amazing because Rick, as a producer too, I mean, you've worked with some really big names too, producing some of the biggest
Yeah.
names I've heard of, Rolling Stones, Amy Grant, B-52s, Donna Summer. I mean, the list can go
Yeah.
on and on. And John,
Yeah.
I mean, you're like you said, you're musical and you're in a rock band. Like, what was the band like before you met Rick? Like, who were you with at that point?
So less accredited musicians, but so for me, learning the production, I'm still like kind of like a novice. What I've learned from Rick.
Okay.
He got me into that end of stuff while we were writing because I was helping him write music for his own project,
Hmm.
which is a project we're now doing together.
Yeah.
And so we have a bunch of songs. We're going to finish maybe one or two of them. So my band, I have an Instagram. It's Total Lost Band
Okay.
on Instagram. all one word, total loss, like when you lose your car.
Been there,
Uh,
done that before.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny whenever I tell people that, and that's usually the thing I say for them to, because they're usually like, total lost or lost. I'm like, total loss, like when you crash your car. And everybody's like, yeah, I've done that. And I'm like, wow, man, I don't think anyone should be driving.
No, definitely not. Except my accident was someone hitting into me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, it's happened to me too. But yeah, so I was writing my own music with that. Now I've since been I'm starting to do that with Rick as well. And then we also been working with girl, her name's Raina. I've been helping her with writing her stuff, and we're gonna start recording that. Like seriously, like we've done some rough little recordings, just me and her,
Mhm.
and Rick's gonna help us to do the actual recording of her stuff. But she's also gotten involved with the music that me and Rick are doing some singing for that.
And
And
then my girl Shirley, don't
yeah,
forget
yeah,
Shirley.
don't forget Shirley
No,
too.
Shirley.
She can't be here, or when one of the dogs is sick. But
Oh, yes,
you
you
know,
were talking that earlier today.
just getting into saxophone. So we got a unit here that's like, if I had a design
Hmm.
Shirley and Raina and John for a production company, that they would have been my schematic, for a nucleus for a production company. And God knows I've been in a few and worked with a few, so it's the Native American stuff.
Oh
We're
yeah,
we're I'm part Iroquois, right?
Okay.
Okay. Um
we're
uh
also doing film.
yeah, we're also doing Sean Monroe, Gripping Yarns Films in London, an old mate,
Hmm.
said, do this without investors. So I put up all the coin myself, but it's an easy shoot. If you want, we'll be in touch. We'll send you a sizzler when we got it. But we're doing a film for the Shinnecocks. My sister was Margot Thunderbird, who passed away recently,
Oh, I'm sorry to
and
hear
my
that.
teacher is Harry Wallace of the Unkechaw. And so we're doing two separate projects. And uh, long time ago, I did a Flying Eagle Woman with Margot, which is about Ingrid Washinawata, who got killed helping indigenous tribes, and
Hmm.
a big story. And then I did for Harry the AIM song, which is the American Indian movement. And me and Carlos Bess and mostly Chill Trees from who I got hired at the Wu Tang Clan, because I'm tight with RZA and
Oh,
work with
wow.
them and stuff. RZA, Method Man, blah blah blah. Um,
Those was
a
one of
lot
my
of
favorite hip
There's a
hop groups
lot
growing
of them.
up.
and
And their little spawnlings like Mastica, all those little like yeah.
yeah, so I got Chill Trees hired because I used to hang. Papa Wu used to come over to my house. We used to hang out. King, the eldest brother, we tight friends. Divine, RZA, Bobby. We're you know real good friends, and I'm friends with everybody. And I did got Chill, and then Chill Trees is really big talent. So I had him work on an AIM song, and now we're gonna do on a Native American, we're gonna do some special fusion
Hmm.
song, So I got two American film companies, one of them who's going to also shop Germany and UK,
Wow.
and in LA, I got Safe Harbor, who's going to distribute the stuff. And then I might even be able to get it distributed through Canada because Rainey with
Mhm.
Harry is sideways involved, and she's a Cree. You know?
Okay.
So, and anyway, I'm rattling off, but
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it's great
we got
information,
some
Rick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
we got some thick stuff going,
My
some
old
thick,
bass player was a
yeah,
Creek. Creek Indian. But
yeah. So
yeah,
we uh, I say we run a we program.
Right.
It's John, Shirley, Raina. They're part of the nucleus of this, and I got a million other studio musicians, which who work with us from New York and all around.
Hmm.
But I'm building a real real good and mellow production company.
And it
You
sounds like you
know,
are.
Yeah.
yeah,
Trying to eventually,
yeah.
hopefully, turn it into a record label. That's the thing. So we're trying to do a couple different musical projects. My music through
Yeah.
Total Loss, Raina's music, which she has like songs for. So we got to write the
And of
instrumentation.
course, Sus with Mason,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, I was gonna give a shout out.
we're strong about loyalties.
Yeah.
You know, like, one of the reasons I'm still wanted and everything too is we never burned anybody. Me personally, John, anybody involved,
Right.
so we have a good rep. I'm even a certified expert witness for the Supreme Court of the state of New York in
Oh wow.
entertainment and sound, which was just a gift given to me. They needed somebody to witness something, and
Hmm.
my credits, and bang, you're an expert witness.
And
And it was fun. It wasn't my forte, but
right.
on days off, they'd actually book it and it only took like a couple days, and
Hmm.
I'd sit there and read and make fat money, and then they'd say at lunchtime, "Oh, we don't need you today," and they'd pay me for a whole day, all kinds of money and shit,
Right.
And I'm glad I did it because I did many things. I've been a street racer. I've been a motorcycle racer. I've been amateur motocross.
Oh
I'm
wow.
certified scuba. I got a Coast Guard's pilot's license, and I could go on, but I've always been busy. I told my girlfriend Shirley, I said, I only want one thing written on my gravestone. No name, no date, no nothing. I only want he did many things.
And I can say that, you did most of the stuff I would love to have done. I mean, don't get me wrong, I illegally street raced here and there a little bit.
I'm a
But
busybody. I'm
but
chicks tell me I'm an alpha, A1, whatever, I'm
right.
a Leo, I don't know. I just, when I was younger, I'm an old junkyard dog now, but when I was younger, man, get, I used to trick ride Harleys.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Right.
the oh
They
no, go
go,
ahead.
how does a guy that small do it? They want to stand up straight when you're over 40 miles an hour. You got to coax them to lean,
Hmm.
So it was easier for me than a big guy like you or something.
Well, yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not skinny. I'm a pretty tall
I don't
and
mean I don't
no,
mean
no, no,
heavy.
no, 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 no. Hey, listen, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a tall,
Wrestler.
girthy guy, so trust
Yeah,
me.
you look like a wrestler, and everybody's bigger than me.
But you know what's funny? It doesn't matter how big or how tall you are. It's how smart you can be and outwitting somebody. That's how I always looked at it. Um,
That's what I told my kids. I told my kids, I said, what's the strongest muscle in the body? And then say arms, back, whatever, and everybody else I told this to, they always say, I said, the strongest muscle in your body is your brain.
it
If
is.
you have a strong, super big, strong weightlifter body, you could push a truck uphill. But if you use your brain, you can move a mountain.
Exactly. And that's something I learned the hard way too. It took me a while to realize it. And as I've gotten older, I've come to use my mind more than my muscles and my mouth, technically.
Yeah.
Because what is it really going to solve at the end of the day? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's your mind
Yeah,
that will solve it all.
I like to joke. I go, I'm using both remaining brain cells right now.
Well, let me tell you something. For the both remaining brain cells that you do have remaining, Rick, you are doing a fantastic job. I mean,
Oh,
just
thanks.
listening to the list of musicians and the celebrities, and John, you too. I mean, you guys have developed a hell of a friendship with a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you named, and what's kind of funny, me growing up, and I mean, I was born in '79, but growing up in the '80s and the '90s, Wu-Tang was one of my favorite, all-time favorite hip hop bands. You know what I mean? Besides Naughty by Nature, these are the
mm,
two bands I listened to dramatically when I didn't get
hmm,
into rock until like mid '90s because I was all hip hop at that one point. You know what I mean? So for to hear you say Method Man, RZA, all these guys, I'm just like, wow. And I'm rattling songs off of my head right off the bat, you know what I mean, that I remember
yeah,
so well.
yeah,
I mean, Mystery of the Chess Box, one of my favorite CDs. When Wu-Tang did the double platinum album, when Method Man did when he went solo and did his thing with Mary J. Um,
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
RZA did the
They're
movies
all
and
nice. Mary
yeah.
J is nice. Yeah, they're all really nice people.
Oh
As
yeah,
much
I
as
mean they have to
you said
portray.
them, yeah.
Hmm?
I'm sorry.
Well, what'd you say?
No, they have to portray themselves. You know what I mean? Like everyone thinks they're like these hardcore guys, but in the backgrounds, once you get to know them and everything, they are different people. Like I've seen interviews with Method Man, I've seen RZA, I've seen Mary J, and when they're doing interviews, they're being straight up and truthful with people, and that's something I admire because
They're they're nice people. DMX was nice with me,
yeah, rest in
I
peace,
mean,
DMX.
except he'd want me to call him the N word and me call him the N word, But it's in New York hip hop culture, But
Yes,
I was accepted into the family, and they
right.
are family to me. They're tight friends. They're man. I can't say enough. The Keith Richards, boy, he's salt of the earth.
Oh, I mean, Keith Richards is a rock legend god with Mick Jagger and them. You know what I mean? Like
You know,
Yeah, he
I've
lives out here in Connecticut. He lives in Weston.
Oh, really? I mean, for
Yeah.
me, I
They every
never,
now and then people have Keith Richards sightings. He acts like a regular guy, like he's not
yeah.
Keith Richards.
he's a nice guy. Now,
Yeah.
when I was
Oh,
19, that electric lady,
mhm.
me and him sat and we talked from after the session till dawn. He was
Wow.
just like he's just, I can't say enough. My own personal experience.
Right, right. But I mean, just to
That's all
say that,
I don't know nothing else.
it's funny. Like for me, I wish I've gotten to see. I mean, I've listened to the Rolling Stones. I don't know how many times, but to see them live, I never got a chance to, and I miss my opportunities every time. It was a,
They're
it was
still going. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
they are like the fountain of youth rock band, man. That they're out there.
Yeah.
I'll say that, man, because whatever they're doing it right. And I'll tell you, if I ever had an opportunity to go see them live, I would jump on the opportunity as much as I can. It's hard when you have two kids and a wife, but
Yeah.
you do what you got to do. But for me,
Have priorities. We enjoy
yes,
what we enjoy in the proper way. We enjoy you feed me, I feed you.
yes, and I'll
And then
tell
it's
you,
fair thing. You know,
best thing
like
I ever did was get married and have my kids.
yeah, we're all doing the best job we fell into. I fell into it. You
I
know,
fell into
yeah,
it. Well, it's
I
always a musician. I mean, that's like the one thing. Like like I've always been good with like songwriting and being like a musician. I like left it for the restaurant. Worst decision I ever made. I was like, I'm gonna stop being a musician and be a chef. And then 10 years of the restaurant industry, I was like, I'm gonna leave hell now and go back to freedom.
I
yeah,
listen. I'm gonna give you props, John, because I'm gonna be honest with you. My dad, unfortunately passed away a long, long time ago.
Sorry
But
about that.
no, it's all right, man. I appreciate that. My dad was a waiter, and I I was inspired by my dad on how hard he worked, and I wanted to become a chef because of him.
Mm. Are
And
you a
I was determined to become one, and I'll never forget it. My dad, I was 18 years old. He goes, "You want to become a chef on 110-degree weather outside New Jersey? Come into the restaurant with me." I said, "All right, I could do this." Let me
chef?
tell you, by 8 o'clock after that huge dinner rush we had from like 5:30 to 8 o'clock, that dinner rush, I was drenched. I think I lost 10 pounds that night. Even a kid. I listen, I enjoyed every minute of it, but at the end of the night, I'm like, yeah, Dad, I think you're right. Maybe being a chef here, not a good idea. I'm going to rethink my lifestyle. I worked with my dad as a food runner with him for quite some time, actually, for 2 years.
Mm,
And that's where I think my learning of hard work and dedication came from is my dad.
mm.
He wasn't
yeah,
educated. He was high school only. He never got a chance to go to college. My mom, she was very educated, very smart, and then I learned from both. My dad had street smarts, my mom had book smarts. I really ended up being more a street smart person than I was books. So if you told me go outside, here's $5, go make something of yourself. I'll come back with some kind of cash somehow, you know what I mean?
I
Legally, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
get that.
But that's the thing, you know what I mean? When I see you, John, and listen to your story, I mean, you went from musician to cook and back to music because you loved it. Besides the freedom, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
When you're your own boss, that's the great thing. And Rick, at a young age, MIT, probably one of the brightest people I know. And I say
Mm.
that because you were in MIT. I don't meet many people who went to MIT. I'll be honest
Well,
with you.
it, I beg your pardon for interrupting, but I got to tell you, it's the work ethic.
Yes,
John got the work ethic. You got the work. I got the work. That's the satisfaction.
it
You
is.
know, I just happen to have preparation meets opportunity. And I have a saying:
Mhm,
what is success? It's 10% having a good idea,
mhm.
90% putting that into motion.
Yeah.
Sweat equity.
And
You get
I'll say this, like working with Rick, like there's a couple things that make it a highlight for me beyond the fact that it's a great opportunity.
Mhm.
It's like, a lot of musicians that I've tried to work with, especially trying to find bandmates and things like that, like a lot of musicians can be very narcissistic, particularly ones who have no success but think they're
Right.
the greatest thing that's ever happened. But this is a guy who's had like a good amount of success, just so much humility, like very humble and like wants to work as a team. It's all about working as a
Right.
team. And like that's so hard to find. We've had conversations about this. And like that's where we vibe because it's like we can work together. We both have input. We both understand each
Mhm.
other. And like he's teaching me a lot as far as the production stuff. I'm able to kind of fill the void of like, some of the musician skills just because like uh good at bass like and guitar, but he knows other shit that I don't know, and then I learn off him, and then this, that, and the other. And we get to like actually grow as like a team. Like
mm-hmm,
when our music has grown as
mm-hmm,
we've continued to work with each other. But like, it's like it's just so beautiful like have the opportunity to like actually work with him and because it kind of like came out of nowhere.
Right.
It was just me showing up somewhere with a buddy of mine, and I was with the same buddy at that Wendy's. He called me, and like half of me thought I was like going to be walking into the Rolling Stones, like it was not the Rolling Stones themselves, but like some like, and it was like I actually got to like have freedom to like write and
Mhm.
like create and create with him, and it's just been like
right.
amazing. And like since we started working it's just going at it all day. Like we both have the same work ethic of just constantly getting shit done, and we're chipping away at multiple projects each
Right.
day.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I could tell, but just hearing you
Yeah.
guys, but you guys are excited though. That's the great thing about
yeah.
it.
I gotta say something about John. I have a slight aptitude. I'm making a funny here. I have a slight aptitude of spotting and working with good talent.
And
And
that's a
that's
good thing. I mean, like for
biggest
me,
understatement, right?
no, but you know what? But the thing is, when you hook up with the right people, like John, you hooked up with Rick,
Yeah.
and let me tell you something. There's always those opportunities. Like for me, I started this podcasting journey 2 years ago on my own. I was with another show, me and my best friend. We priorities were different because of the timing of our kids. His were older, mine were younger. And I just said, "Hey, I'm just going to try something on my own, see what happens." And I'm still grinding it out because it's it's not as easy everyone thinks it is. You know what I mean? Doing your own podcasting.
Yeah.
You got to understand, like for me, I reached out, I first of all, I got to thank Mason from the Musical Group. You know what I mean? He's the one who got me in touch with you guys. And, I got to thank him a lot because,
Make
he
him fat. He's cool.
he
I've
is
known him for
awesome.
decades. He's a good dude.
He
And
is so
and he's
cool.
talented, everything.
He is.
And
And
not
you know what's
good things
funny?
to say about him.
And I'll tell you, he goes, "Hey, let's set up a meeting. Let's talk on the phone, you and I." And I'm like, "What? Someone wants to talk to me on the phone?" I'm like, "Okay." Because I don't get those opportunities. You know what I mean? Like I'm in the state of New Jersey. I'm in the hardest podcasting area
Mhm,
in this tri-state area. I'm
mhm,
dealing with New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia,
mhm,
Connecticut, and you know what? For a guy who's like me, being this small, independent, one person, one man stands alone,
mhm,
all this stuff, I love it because
mhm.
I give the attention to you guys. You know what I mean? And that's what I love.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can,
Awesome to be doing this with you.
You're
I'm enjoying it, every minute of it.
and you're really hip.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I mean, that means a lot to me.
What is it? Amiable or amicable or something? Maybe
Amicable.
Amicable.
both.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, now you could say like, hey, you should check this guy's show out. This was so much fun. You guys might have fun in
Oh, for
it.
sure.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, this is where I don't get a lot of opportunities to make connections, and when I do, it's important to me. Like Rick, I have your number now, and you have my number. I'll
Yeah.
just say, hey, how's it going? How's the movie going?
Yeah.
How's everything going?
Yeah,
John,
onto all the shit we're doing. It's
Yeah.
gonna take a minute. We gotta load, but both me and him,
Yeah.
like
We could send
bring
you
it on.
we could send you a couple like tracks like we've been working on
oh
MP3s.
yeah, I mean that
Fun.
that would definitely. I'm not gonna post anything up because it's for me only. But I'll tell you
Yeah.
this: even
Yeah.
if you tell
Well,
me if you guys are in the city,
With
Mason's
Mason's,
laughing.
yeah,
I like I said before, we have we put a great deal of emphasis on loyalty,
yes.
friendship. There's more important things than money. I've made an assload of money. I've blown an assload of money. There's more important things.
There is, and I'll tell you that. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing I always thought money was important, but one thing I've learned as I've gotten married and I had my kids, it's the people that who are surrounding you is worth the money.
Yep.
And that's
Yeah.
something I've learned. And I will say this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a football player, ex-football player in high school, I never got a chance to play college because I hurt my knee and I missed my opportunities.
Mm.
I'll tell you this. One thing I did learn from my one of my best teams I play with either in my junior year where I was struggling a lot and the coach took on me on as like a project and he worked me and worked me, run me in the
Mhm.
gym. He was just making me tough as nails, even tougher than what my dad did for me. And one thing I remember it was one day in August, it was 120 degrees in the gym because the windows were all sealed, no window, nothing was open. And we were lifting in the basement. And the guys, as I went up, coach goes, "You ready?" I'm like, "Let's go." And then I remember as the three captains came up, and then the rest of the team slowly came up, pushing me, cheering me on. And that's when I
Mhm.
realized I was part of a brotherhood for once.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
There were not individuals like you guys, like you said, that part of the team working as together. There's not an I in this team. It's individuals. It's all of us together. We're working hard. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you do it right in a team,
yep.
the sum is far greater than the parts.
And I admire what you guys
Right.
do because listening to the stories and what you guys are doing is just an amazing thing. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you guys are in the city, I believe, right?
I bought a crib in Bridgeport, a
Oh, okay.
gigantic. I don't know. It
It's
seemed like the right thing to do.
one of the few non-shitty sections of Bridgeport is actually a
Yeah.
decent section.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
like for
So
me,
I bought it and decided I put this whole digital pretty well outfitted recording studio up on the third floor and
nice.
an edit suite in a small room up here. And because I was like, I don't want to run in and I got time in big studios, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
but I know what I'm doing. So you can make your own if you do it right. You can, and if you
We got it. Right?
they say, how do you make digital sound so good? I say, because I make it sound like analog. That's all. You
Yeah.
use don't let energy fool the magician. You use the plugins, you know, as analog. But it's easy for me because like I used all of this gear in with the knobs on it.
Hmm.
So it's an emulation, but you have to realize people used to go to me, "Oh, Rick, you know about digital music," and I tell them there's no such thing as digital music. It's analog to
Yeah.
digital to analog. It's a conversion medium. It's a working medium. It's a
Right.
manipulation medium. And you could go crazy with it, or you could use it, like on vocals, in situ as analog. It's just so much easier than editing tape. I edited Mesopotamia for the B for the who's what band? The B-52.
B-52.
Yeah,
52s.
me and Kate are still.
Yeah.
I was friends with.
He's
Ricky.
done so much work, he
Yeah.
doesn't even sometimes remember the.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, because like I go to church, and so my vocal teacher, she's a at my church, and I was like, "Oh, my friend Rick did work with Amy Grant." She's like, "Oh," I was like, "Hey, she loves Amy Grant." He's like, "Oh yeah, for Goblin song."
And it's funny.
Like
It's like,
Emmanuel. I was like,
Uh,
"Yeah, that's the one, man."
yeah, yeah,
and that's
yeah.
so awesome.
It's
Yeah.
great. I've been blessed, it's, I work for it. Like you said, I relate to you and
Hmm.
John, application engineering. Life is application engineering.
Right.
Life is a verb,
Hmm.
it's an action verb,
And,
and you find the right thing to do when you go at, like you're going at your stuff,
Yeah, man.
and I
Keep
can't say
grinding
enough
with
for
it
John.
too.
He's like, man, I've worked with a lot of people. I've trained a lot of people,
right.
John is atomic. I mean, John is like, I teach him something, he knows it. It's over. It's like he's like on the Pro Tools, like, expanding on it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a passion. And when you're passionate about something, I mean, this is the one thing I love. And, I think at one point I was passionate about the restaurant industry, and then I saw just like the toxic nature of the
Yeah.
environment before to, yeah.
I know exactly how it is because I've seen my dad.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
I was I just couldn't do it anymore. I mean, it was just like killing me as like to work in restaurants and like
Hmm.
even though I was good at it, and it was like even when it was like no money in music or like just no real opportunity, I was still happier like playing out on the street than I
Hmm.
was like, working in a restaurant, fucking arguing with guys over a restaurant none of us have any stake in.
Right. And
Yeah.
then you always get the customers, and you get the customers who return their food like it's not cooked well enough. Well, it's
Yeah.
medium.
Well, that's the thing with like customers. It's like they'll be your best friend. You make them the dish perfect like 90 times, but that 91st time you fuck it up, they're done with you
Yeah.
forever.
and that's
Yeah.
something that always annoyed me because as I work, I see my dad work as hard as he did, and one thing I have learned as first of all, as I work in sales and I'm a dispatcher, I worked in sales all my life, and I worked in the restaurant business for a few years with my dad. And customer service is one thing, but also, you know what? A restaurant's entitled to a bad night, right? You're entitled to a
Oh,
bad day or a bad night. No
yeah.
one's perfect here. One of my favorite restaurants, I'll even say it. One of my favorite restaurants, I remember it's right here in Caldwell, New Jersey. It's a Peruvian restaurant I loved very much. They had a bad night of food, and I just said to the owner, I'm like, hey, I don't know, this is just not good. And, I just want to let you know, I don't want you to lose business over that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
and she thanked me for it. I'm just gonna street
Mhm.
straight forward because I don't want with when individuals take over something it's theirs now, it's you want to make sure they have a good reputation. Now she's like done dinners for Google, all these other people now. I'm like, the New
Cool.
York Jets, and I'm like, damn,
Uh-huh.
okay, you got bigger than I did, but congratulations.
God bless her. That because it's a real grind to own your own place too.
I
Yeah.
I give her credit. I mean, I grind as a podcaster. People don't realize when you're balancing family life with life outside of work and
Yeah.
this, it's not the easiest thing. I mean, I've been invited to a few things I just can't get to because I have the priorities.
Yeah.
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 If
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as long as you stay with like the right path of doing the right things, something like when you have the priorities, you got family, you got kids,
Mhm.
but you keep grinding out the podcast when you have the chance, dude. Like you're a good dude, you got a good personality,
I
like
appreciate that.
you definitely like, you know what I mean? I love seeing like just anybody doing any kind of art form or anything. It's like, dude, keep going, man. Don't ever give up the dream.
And it's the
That's what.
satisfaction of doing it. That's what
Mhm.
I never planned to be. Solid State Logic named me as one of the top 10 users. As you know, Solid State Logic is the
Yeah.
biggest, it's gigantic. They made, and I was on the cover of Mix magazine as one of the top 5 New York City engineers. I never planned that, and
Yeah.
I like that, and
Yeah.
I'm not overly humble, but I'm like cool, you know.
I, the same
I
way.
guess, right. Me and John working together is as good as me and David Byrne. You
Right.
know, John's. I joked. I said you learn like a sieve. You know, I told him in real life he learns like a magnet.
Yeah.
He's like a sponge. I love it. I love, we have on all facets, we have a really good relationship, you know?
Yeah, and I can hear it between the both of you, the
Yeah.
relationship that you guys have. I mean, that's amazing because you don't meet many partners like that. And when I'm
Oh, yeah, no,
not that way, but you know what I mean,
I,
as musician to producers to being as one. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? Not in that
yeah,
way. But
yeah,
in
like a good sports team, like as you know, a good football team. If the linebacker fails,
the whole
everybody
fails.
fails.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
not just a quarterback. It's
It's the team.
I don't know that much about sports, but I do know how a system works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's something I got to commend you on because when you have the system going on all cylinders as a car would or as a team
Mhm.
would,
Yeah.
you could accomplish anything. And like Rick, you have accomplished a huge amount, like you said. You got your companies in California, New York, you're in Bridgeport, you're all over the place, and you know so many people. And John, you are amazing. What have you done already? You know what I mean? Like, look at where you've come from too. You know what I mean?
And one thing I gotta say, Chief Harriet Onkejaw,
Mhm.
he was an attorney for the Native Americans for the United Nations. He
Okay.
started one of the first smoke shops. He was the one with that first full page ad in the Daily News. So he's
Okay.
got the point,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And he's very open. Me and him. He's been my chief for like half a century, and or more, and
Super smart guy.
yeah,
Really interesting.
and he goes, Rick, I'll give you money to do the Uncontrol project. I said, no, that's not my motive. It's the message because
Right.
we're doing these projects special. It's not like Dances with Wolves. It's not like
No, it's
it's not,
totally different.
put that down. But I'm saying this isn't like what do you call that? The real world for
The
MTV.
last of
We're,
Mohegans.
we're because I'm inside. We're doing an inside thing. You'll see
Yeah.
when you see it. We're doing something totally. What would you call it? Left field. It's left field. It's right field. It's so.
Well, we're trying
It's so
to
far. It's in the middle.
I'd say
You
we're
know.
trying to be like as pure as possible to get onto film a bit because we're, getting into the forays of film, and he's
Mm.
also got a script for a little science fiction comedy. What you
Yeah.
call it? It's like it's got some really hilarious stuff. We're gonna refilm. He did a rough film of it, and we want to. He edited the script, and we're gonna try to rework it with some new actors and stuff. And
Nice.
I think it's called Plan 25, but back to the native stuff, like,
Mhm.
there's like a pure intention to like how we're trying to do this. So we got two, the Shinnecock one he mentioned for his
Mm-hmm.
sister, which also incorporates the drum circle and gets into like the music of like their native culture with doing
Right.
drum circles and seeing the connectedness of like the guys who are doing that and the women. There's a woman in the background singing and
Mm-hmm.
playing the shaker, but also the interviews of where they talk about the issues the Native Americans still face, and not even just in that area, but as a whole. And with Harry, I mean, Harry, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm going over the footage now. We're doing the beginning editing stages, so
Mhm.
that's my portion. And like seeing just the history he knows and how much he knows and what he's been involved with, like also as a lawyer
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
activist. Both of them were activists, and it's amazing to learn so much from them. And you watch the footage and you feel like you're connected, like these people.
See, and
And that's
that's
what
actually the stuff I
that
do love to watch too,
John gets
because
it, and that's what I set out to do.
right.
With Shirley has been director on a lot of this stuff because my hands are so busy
Mhm.
producing, and uh, see, John gets it. Everybody's going to get this.
Right.
It's what John's explaining better than me is this is like we're talking.
Mhm.
That's how the film's going to be. It's
And
going
that's
to be
amazing because you don't see
connected
films like that.
because these I'm part of it. So, and I got a reputation of being trustworthy,
Mhm.
So they speak freely, and it's about the issues, the real stuff. It's going to be really something.
Yeah,
It's
Right.
whoever, whether it goes big or goes small. I don't care because it's really going to be what's up.
And
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 it's
and I like that.
for everybody. It's for the Native Americans, but it's for everybody because there's a connectiveness here, a
Mhm.
message, that
yeah.
Yeah.
you'll see even with the Sizzler when he send it to you,
Yeah,
what John's saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the Uncle film, like also it's not just like Chief Harry that we're interviewing. They interviewed like a jewelry shop owner, somebody who's
Nice.
involved in like kelp cultivation and learning about like what people they're trying to do in their Bay Area because they're in Southampton
Hmm.
Okay.
and try to like improve the sea, and, like because
Mhm.
they like it got considered a disaster zone like
Right,
by
right.
the Harris administration, and like they're trying to cultivate kelp and improve the ecological the I
Yeah, I mean, look at it.
I don't know what the
When,
word is.
when when whoever it was, the Vikings or Columbus or whoever the fuck discovered America, when there was 145 million people here,
Columbus never came here.
yeah, they discovered America, right? Well,
Right.
any Native Americans were here for like 4,000 years. They had no pollution. There were some problems and warring and stuff too, but mostly no pollution. Everybody got fed, mostly,
Mhm.
okay? Mostly, and music and art and and
They had their own
everybody,
culture.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now there are exceptions to this,
Mhm.
big time, but mostly everybody was having a great time with nature and living and even dying, and it was all working.
What I,
So that's what, even with me and the Native American community, we're trying to get this across to even the younger Native Americans, like and society at large.
Yeah.
We fished the sea. We did, you know, and we're like, it's nice to make money, but money is just money. We
Yeah.
have we have a
what was
say.
that quote? Oh, you're about to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah, I already know. Okay.
When the last fish is fished out of the sea, when the last deer is slaughtered, when the last piece of corn is taken from the field, only then will you find out you can't eat money.
Right. And that's actually an amazing quote, to be honest with you, Rick. That is something you don't hear or think about these days.
Money is a tool. It's like digital.
Yeah.
It's because we can't barter sheep and horses and
It's
Yeah,
not
well,
it's not like
uh,
how it used to be when it was a lot simpler times, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's
well, I think,
something, it's
oh, what were you saying? Sorry.
no, I was just saying, like, back in the day where it was simpler times and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to hear this project, man, even you're getting me excited to want to watch it, to be honest with you, to learn more about the history because
Yeah.
our history books don't talk about it as much. They talk about the Native Americans, but they don't go into depth with them. They
No,
don't, you know,
I
eh,
mean, it was the biggest
it's
genocide
not.
in history.
yeah,
It's what I'd almost call it. It wasn't fully successful, but like by terms of war, it's like pretty much the most successful genocide, more than the Holocaust.
hmm
Like it gets ignored because we took over land. We like to kind of push it to the side, not have to look at it as like the current American people.
hmm
But like even still, like yeah, they have reservations, but they're mostly living in like trailers, unless they're one of the casino nations. And like
Mhm.
that's its own thing too.
There's all kinds of stuff that
Yeah,
we could learn from. I myself learn more. There's
right.
all we're talking. You see, in a Native American thing, it's like Harry's successful lawyer and businessman and stuff, but
Mhm.
still, having a good program, and when you get into it, when you actually go to a sweat, when you find out what Ayila really means, smudging,
hmm
and the connection through other cultures. There's a lot we're trying to get across here in
yeah.
a small amount of time, actually, considering a 92-minute movie, you
Right,
know.
right,
But
Might end up being two.
yeah. But
Yeah,
we're doing the Shinnecock and we're doing the Unkechaw,
yeah,
on our own dime.
right.
Because why? When Harry wanted to give me money, because it should be done.
It should be done correctly. And
No, yeah,
yeah,
and we're not shoving anything down anybody's throat. We're just saying how it is. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? We're
oh
not
yeah,
preaching.
no, I
We're not
totally
telling you
get what
what
you're
to
saying.
do. We're not cursing the white man. I'm mostly white. I'm
Right.
Russian. Ukrainian, Italian, Polish, and Iroquois. Nice blend, huh?
Hey, listen, my
I,
kids are Cuban,
I
Peruvian, Italian, and Irish.
I told a waiter at a restaurant once because I was buying for the table,
Mhm.
and so he's being nice to me, good, real good restaurant, and he's going, "I'll give you free cocktails," like
Yeah.
and finally I told him I had to tell a joke at a table. I said, I'm part Russian and I'm part Native American. You really want to see me drunk?
That's awesome. I mean, you guys, like I said, what I'm hearing is just amazing. Like you are raising awareness, something I love to do too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've raised awareness on autism. Again, I have a,
oh, good man.
I had a friend of mine. I went to high school with her. Didn't know her son was autistic. I went and asked her about that, and she was telling me, and I'm like, why don't you come on the show and talk about it? Uh,
Mhm.
type
That's
2
pretty
diabetes, I mean,
Yeah,
type 1 diabetes, I mean, type
cool.
1 and 2. I had a friend whose twin daughters both have cerebral palsy.
cool.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and he's a Marine. He's a cop in Texas. It's a kid who I coached in high school too. And I still keep in touch with him and I see his kids. They're doing very well, which is good, you know what I mean? I actually had another friend of mine I never knew he had a drug problem, pill problem. Never knew that. And he talked about it in my show. I'm just like, damn, dude, never knew that. You always were great to me as a friend. He goes, yeah, and this is why, I thought I should share it with you. And I'm like, wow.
Mhm.
And we're talking 20 years later. And I had a gentleman who came on the show who sobered up from hard cocaine habits. And I mean,
Mhm.
he's at least now, I think 2 years clean. And I mean, it's just an amazing thing to see these things. You know what I mean? What you guys are
Yeah,
doing. I,
Well, interesting. Oh no, continue. Sorry.
no, 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 no. It's fine. You can go ahead. I was
Oh
just,
yeah, no, I was just thinking because one of the things we were thinking of doing, because I say all the footage we have from the Uncut Shot, there's this woman that they interviewed named Jennifer, but she tells her like recovery from
yeah,
addiction
mhm.
story, and it's like a good amount of footage. And she also talks about like kind of the issues within, because natives obviously have a very, very, I think it's like 90-95% addiction rate, and like we were thinking about making a separate film just for that recovery
yeah,
portion.
Wow, that I would definitely. I mean, the films
yeah,
that you guys are watching, I actually would love to watch it, including that one because that's something I've never had. I never had I wouldn't say I had an addiction, but I never went to that far. And the thing is to see the recovery stages and what they're fighting and what you're trying to do to help that person
yeah,
is something that people don't realize what they had to fight. You know what I mean? Some of them
yeah.
just give up and don't have that fight anymore.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
and there's so much stuff about just say no. Give me
yes,
a fucking break. Why did you pick up in the first place?
exactly.
You
You
know
know,
what? And we're trying to do our part. But we're not preaching. I mean, there's people who can do a line of coke on Friday and Saturday and have a bottle of whiskey and be perfect family man and everything. That's
yep.
not who the message is for. It's
No.
for the person who's saying like, you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's the thing, you know what I mean? Because it's just not, it's kind of funny when you look at, people say, "Oh, look at the statistics." It doesn't matter if you come from a broken home or you're the richest guy in this
Yeah,
United States. Someone's
yeah,
fighting some kind of an addiction.
yeah,
Mhm.
You could be the
yeah.
biggest movie star. You could be,
Gambling.
yeah, gambling debts, drugs, alcohol. It doesn't matter.
My boy's baby mama, Beverly Hills. She had
Mhm.
a whole finished basement of like this gigantic house and everything. Da, 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 da. Who knows?
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I
No.
mean, I'm trying to
Be part of
be,
the solution.
yeah, be part
Yeah.
of the solution.
No,
Yeah,
be
and
part of the solution
taking care
and
of
not the
myself,
problem.
you know. What it's so terrible in the whole world today.
Yeah.
I mean everywhere. Why we got cell phones. We got we got Rolls Royce, Mercedes, BMW, blah 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 blah. Some people lose it all, but I'm just saying we got all this shit. You
Yeah.
know, why is there still unhappiness? What are we missing?
I don't know.
What is the missing,
Music.
you know,
Well, music's one thing, but one thing is, I think
creator?
it's health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's health. And music is another part. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I have anxiety. I've been fighting that for years, and it got worse during COVID. And to this day, I'm still coping with it because something could just you hear a sneeze sometimes, like what? You know what I mean? I just stutter and just start getting a little anxious. But you know
Uh-huh.
what? Now, as it has gone by, you know what I mean? I'm more protective of the family and the kids. Me,
Yeah.
I'm more, you know what? Whatever happens to me happens to me. It happens for a reason. The kids and my wife are the most three important people in my life. That's the protection that I need to provide.
Mm.
Anybody comes near them, it's like you're gonna go through me first. You have to go through this wall first before you go near them. I
I
will.
feel
You just
I.
made me think of something really, really maybe important.
Mhm,
We lose sight of the big picture.
we do.
Saying Mac, motive, action, consequence.
Hmm.
We miss we miss, you know, we don't think of motive. You know, I mean, who doesn't want to party and dance and, and go crazy, up to a point. But if we lose
it.
sight of the big picture,
We
what,
do. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I remember losing sight of it.
if I knew, I'd be Carl Sagan, I guess.
Yeah. Well, thinking couldn't help certain people.
Yeah.
Eh,
It's also people's willingness to help themselves. Yeah. So I do this drum circle. I do open mic on Thursday nights in New Haven.
Okay.
There's actually footage on Facebook, and you said one of me and Raina's performances.
Hmm.
But there's a drum circle before the open mic happens. It's actually part of a paid Yale study. So I was
Okay.
like, yeah, I'm down for. And I mean, I personally like don't have any like issues currently that I like really like stressing with or anything,
Hmm.
but to see like this group of people from all kind of walks of life, like who are like maybe going through some stuff, stresses, and it's a music like seeing the mental health benefits. That's
Yeah.
what they're studying, and like seeing just how connected people get just from this drum circle, trying to connect, even if they don't have any musical bones in their body, trying to just, even if they're doing single strikes or whatever,
Yeah.
and just seeing the joy and connectedness people get out of it.
Hmm.
Like, it's a beautiful thing. That's one of the things I started noticing from it because I was talking to the girl who set it up, who happened to go to Duke. Raina went to Duke, and this girl who
Mhm.
started the study works at Yale.
Okay.
She was going to musical intervention for an open mic, and she saw the drum circle there, and she was like, "Let me talk to my boss and see if I can turn this into a study."
Right.
And I gotta say, it really has like great mental health benefits for some of these people, because
Eh,
there's shout out to musical intervention real quick, and Adam Christofferson, who's he works in the mental health field. He started this place as like music therapy, a place for people to with like mental health issues,
mhm.
addiction issues, different things, to like have a place to really have a creative outlet in therapy. And like he's like mostly like paying for it off his own fucking dime, which is like
Wow.
big kudos. The guy's got a huge heart. He's a great guy.
Mhm.
He was on what was the show? I don't watch TV. It was on ABC. Claim to Fame
Oh,
is
really? Okay.
so it's like celebrity family members, and they try to guess who they're related to.
So,
He's Michael Bolton's nephew.
oh shoot! I
Yeah,
actually remember that. As soon as you said that, now I remember. I
yeah,
remember that episode.
that's a throwback.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Adam's an amazing musician, songwriter, and just human being, in his own right. And like, but yeah, she, set up that study, and to see like, a lot of people who are regulars there, with like different mental health issues and
Hmm.
things like that, get so much benefit out of that. It's a beautiful thing. So music is really like it's always freed my soul,
Right.
and I'm sure Rick can say that. I mean, yeah.
Oh, I believe it. Like for me,
Up to the music business in the 80s, I'll tell you that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it. Like for
When John,
me,
yeah. And then I got to tell you another thing. I was
yeah.
a 9/11 first responder,
Oh
and I got
wow.
I broke my back. I shattered my left arm. I got
Oh,
steel pins, all kinds of shit.
oh,
And so, they gave me all kinds of everything I wanted.
yeah.
Read between the lines.
No,
And
I
I got
got you.
FD up the blowhole. And then I said, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? I
Right.
bought this house. Margot Thunderbird, my sister, had been here for a while with me. Oh God, I can't tell you the spiritual stuff from her. She's the actual Margot Thunderbird. You can
Hmm.
look up the articles on her passing in the Southampton Press and more. And
Her spirit's definitely here.
Google Margot Thunderbird.
I
Yeah.
will.
And she was just atomic. Talk about spirituality in the real world.
Hmm.
Oh, she was fun. She played guitar. She played. Oh man, Google her.
I definitely
And
will.
she she was a mentor. And so I got a whole big story about that. But I'll tell you, that was uncool. First responder at ground zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I thank you for
Funny,
doing that too,
funny
because
thing. I say funny, right?
it's funny.
I know about Ground Zero. I was
Hmm.
supposed to meet RZA and Divine. I was supposed to go down to 30 to Chambers and meet RZA and Divine for a meeting.
Hmm.
And they called me from the car on the Verrazano Narrows, and they said, we're canceling a meeting today. And I laughed. I said, yeah, you're always canceling a meeting. What's news? They said, turn on the TV. We got to go. Turn on the TV. I turn on the TV, right?
Right.
What was happening. The phone rings. I was trained as RADF by the Army.
Oh wow.
On the FBI list of emergency calls. I don't know how but
Right.
anyway, I said, look, a RADF, radiological monitor. If a
Mhm.
bomb drops, I go out with a Geiger counter, and I'm the first guy that his skin peels off. But the guy goes to me, please go downtown.
Right.
And I'm glad I did because as life is there's circles. Okay,
Yeah.
Native American, there's circles.
Right.
And it took me out of where I was stopped on the circle, and it brought me around hard. It was hard, but it brought me around to close the circle, and that's why I am where I am today. And because Margot pointed her finger at me and said, "There's only one reason you're still alive, little brother." Yo, so there's as who was it? Shakespeare said there are, or something. There are things in this world we do not yet understand,
Hmm.
or somebody important
Yeah.
said.
Someone I remember that saying too, and you're right.
To be or not to be, so you better be.
Exactly. You know, I mean, guys, talk about a lot that we talked about tonight. I mean, you guys, the whole group of you guys talk so much. You guys are so awesome, and I can't say I can't say much about it because I'm so speechless because of the way your passion is, guys, and that's something I admire because you don't see that every day anymore. And the passion you have on your projects and who you worked with and how you've done it and how you started and how you got to where you are. You guys are an amazing
Oh,
group. I'm
thank
going to be honest with you, Rick, John.
we're just running with the ball,
Uh, yeah, exactly. And you two have done a lot. And the success, Rick, you have, and John, you're getting that and you're learning it. And, it's an amazing thing to see. You know what I mean? And I commend both of you on what you're doing to make what you believe in your dreams really come true.
Thank you. Appreciate
That's
that.
it's
Same to you, man.
I
and
For
it's
real.
appreciate
about
that.
it's about internal. External's cool. I say I got a Rolls Royce in the driveway. I got a vintage racing Corvette. That's cool. That's cute. I ain't
All right.
saying that ain't cool,
I got to
but
get
it's
to that house and just to see the Corvette.
There'll be some pictures on the album cover.
we're gonna dance on the hood of the Rolls Royce for a music video.
Nice, nice. Well, guys, I really can't thank you enough for coming here tonight. It means
Thank
Thank
the
you for having us.
Yes.
oh, and I'm gonna be honest with you. You guys are welcome to come back anytime you want.
Okay.
Awesome.
We'll keep in touch. We'll give you data on these important projects,
Yeah, definitely. You know,
especially the Native American thing. Oh, we're doing fusion. Chill from Wu Tang.
Chill trees.
Yeah.
ooh,
The sound engineer. My old mate, and
mm,
and we're going to be doing some fusion hip hop, and so it's going to be with Native American.
Wow.
Uh, we're doing a special thing here. We're doing a special thing musically.
The
We're
musical projects
cutting
keep
some
building.
new ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. That's gonna be that sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun, but and energetic. I can just hear the excitement from you guys just talking about it.
you're
Yeah.
excellent. You're an
Yeah.
excellent host.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I keep working every day, hard as I can. Um,
Yeah,
again, I appreciate you guys taking the time out tonight. I know it's late, and to talk to you guys, it means the world to me. Rick, from everything you've done, it's amazing, and I still wish you the best success as you continue on your venture. And John, you started on the music, you went to cook to chef to cook probably my food one day, some time ago. You probably did. If you
Right.
didn't, I trust you.
There's so
But
many places I've worked, I probably
yeah,
did.
and you probably did. And I'm going to tell you, man, to see how successful you are now connecting with Rick and the team, Shirley, everybody, it's amazing. So big props up to you guys in total, you know what I mean?
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And thank you guys again tonight. And I always said in my show saying, dreams do come true. And I look at both of you guys, I can literally say dreams can really come true because you guys are
yeah,
living proof of what you guys are doing and the passion you have for it.
yeah.
Appreciate that.
Our
Thank you.
greatest days are ahead of us with these messages.
Same applies to you, man.
Yeah,
I and I appreciate that. As you can see, guys,
All right.
Rick and John are two awesome people, and I'm always ending my thing like this. It's nothing but love, peace, and happiness. Good night, everybody.
All right, man. Have a great one.
Mashkanawish. In Shinnecock, that means later. We have no word for goodbye because sometime it's later. We
Well,
okay, Mashkanawish.
I just learned something new today, actually, guys, as you can see.
Yeah, right? If you pay, you learn something new every day if you pay attention.
This is true, and I just did. So, everyone, enjoy the night. Thank
Yeah,
you. Good night.
thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
mate.
great one, man.
You
Cheers.
too.